Wouldn't it be great if you can zero every 22 at the same distance, be it a 22 long rifle or a 22 airgun? When I tried to look it up on YouTube, I couldn't really find an answer, so I wanted to figure it out myself. When you're using a centerfire rifle, it's easy. Just zero at 100 yards and you'll be fine, and you won't shoot high. The reason I don't want to shoot high is because I want accuracy. And if you have any kind of fancy reticle, there is no hold under. There are only marks for hold over. So yeah, you can use a 100-yard zero for a centerfire, but you don't want to try that with a rimfire or an airgun. With a rimfire at around 55 yards, you'll be roughly 2.5 inches high. With an airgun, with a light 15 grain pellet, it gets even worse. Around 55 yards, you'll be shooting almost 11 inches high. One of the most common zero distances you hear for 22 long rifle is 50 yards. And that's actually pretty good. You see that it shoots a little bit high at 40 yards, but that's only roughly half the width of your projectile. And also, if you use a 50-yard zero on 22 LR with high velocity ammo, you'll have another zero, a near zero, around 30 yards. One problem with 22 LR high velocity is that you start above the sound barrier and it goes transonic before 50 yards and will get less accurate beyond 50 yards. So if you want any kind of accuracy, you shoot 22 LR subsonic. If you use a 50-yard zero on 22 LR subsonic, then around 35 yards, you'll be a third of an inch high, which is a little much, roughly 1.5 times the size of your projectile. So you'll be 0.3 mils off, or almost 1 MOA. So here's where the 30-yard zero comes in. If you zero at 30 yards with 22 LR subsonic, you'll have another zero around 35 yards. And because you're starting off below the sound barrier, your bullet will never go transonic. So you can shoot accurately as far as you want. So now if you want to zero a 22 airgun with a slug at 50 yards, you're starting to shoot a little bit high in between. Around 30 yards, you'll be roughly an inch high. So that means that you have to hold under an inch, and so you're off by 3.5 MOA. So if you also use the 30-yard zero for a 22 air rifle, you roughly have your near zero around 20 yards, and in between it shoots really flat. At 25 yards, you'll only be off by like the quarter the size of your projectile, less than a tenth of a mil or a quarter MOA. I can't shoot that well, so I'm not worried about that. And the same is true for a 22 air rifle pellet. With a 15 grain pellet, if you zero at 30, you have another zero at 20. And in between, it doesn't go too high. 25 yards is also roughly a tenth of an inch off, or a tenth of a mil, a third of an MOA. I can't shoot that well, so I don't care. Now, the common distance to zero an air rifle is usually around 25 yards. If you're only shooting at 25 yards, sure, go for it. But I also want to stretch out my scope a little bit. The airgun is fine, but my scope only has 7 mils in the reticle. So if I ever want to shoot at 100 yards, this works better than a 25-yard zero. So, can you zero all 22s at the same distance? I think I can, and the results are pretty good. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. If you liked this kind of stuff, leave a like, and there should be something for you to watch next in either corner of the screen. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.